Dusty Futon is a Big John Entertainment production. Go to BigJohnEntertainment.com to sign up for the Big John Entertainment newsletter to receive updates on the Dusty Futon and other Big John Entertainment productions.
Welcome to another episode of the Dusty Futon. I'm here with Big John.
What's up?
And we're also here with Falling Doves, and they're going to tell us all about what's been going on, all Falling Doves. All things Falling Dove. That's what I meant to say, bitches.
Exactly. We'll talk to this San Diego, well-known San Diego band right here on the Dusty Futon. And this episode is brought to you by Backstage360.com, the musician's media. The Dusty Futon is a musician's podcast bringing you the raw musician and what they bring to the table. Backstage360.com works hard to bring you even more with creative write-ups, professional interviews, and stunning photography. Full disclosure, I do contribute write-ups and reviews and conduct interviews for them occasionally. Backstage360.com also assists with the promotion of events, products, tours, new music, and they provide an overall insider's peek into the impedimenta of the backstage. Backstage360.com. They truly are the musician's media.
Every day they're hustling.
Hustling. All right.
Isn't there a song about that?
Yes, there is. But anyway, make sure you
copyright.
subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and the like. Check us out everywhere else on Spotify. And if you know a musician who wants to come on the episodes here, get their own podcast, have them email us at admin@dustyfuton.com.
Thank you, man. This is awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for coming. We've got Falling Doves, or at least 2/3 of the Falling Doves.
This is the whole pie.
This is the whole pie?
Yeah.
We like pie.
We got
Half
the
and
whole,
half.
We got half and half here. You might want to pull the microphone closer so you don't have to keep.
Yeah, we got you. We got
So
you.
that way I don't get a sound.
So now you got half the pie of the fallen doves here.
Still
All right,
half.
so and you're Chris Leyva.
Leyva.
Christopher.
Chris. Now I met you a few years ago at this boogie woogie thing at the boogie.
Yeah, it was
they're
like
gonna
their
kill me.
Christmas
Boogie
party.
Boogie nights. Boom, 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 boom.
And you needed a piss, and then they threw me up there to interview people.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'd been sitting on the stand in front of those lights, and with that microphone in my hand for almost an hour at that
No,
point.
you were a little longer than that, like 3 hours.
Yeah,
I
it
think.
was 3 hours.
And you're like, I can't do it anymore. I need a break. I go, dude, I'll help you out,
I needed
man.
to go smoke a joint and sit out back and take a piss and all that. I just needed to veg out. Then I came back, and then there's this guy with spiky hair.
Interviewing randoms.
Yeah, just like, okay, let him go. That gives me a break.
We had a blast, man.
Yeah, we did. That's you're doing good. And you heard a female voice on here, which is rare on the futon.
No, and it's nice, actually, to see a familiar face. So I can
Spicy
actually see
cow.
her.
Yeah. Spicy here.
Spicy. I got to give you some bass.
Do I need some bass?
Yeah,
Thank you, Spicy Kim, also for accommodating our schedule.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I think you just kind of forced our hand with that.
All right.
But that's okay. You know what? In the business, if you're in the business of musicians in any way, shape, or form, you guys are so on demand all the time with your schedule, the things that you have to do that nobody even realizes you have to do. That is so easy to get caught up in the moment, and you're gonna be late. You're gonna miss times because you're so focused on what you're doing. That if I'm going to work with you, I need to be flexible and understand that as you being a musician, that it's going to take that. It's going to take.
And we learn actually. You know, I mean, we have played in other countries. I mean, life is life, and they understand. You know that we've never been to certain countries, so they know if we end up a little late, but they take it pretty serious out in Japan. You know. They look at you real.
Oh, that must have been a blast, though. I mean, seriously, Japan.
We had to be early. We learned the respect of the thing, but the reward was pretty great.
It's interesting with foreign countries. I was in the Navy for almost 15 years, and I've been to a lot of foreign countries, and they teach you when we pull into port, there are certain customs that you have to be aware of. Like when we pulled into Singapore, if you spit on the sidewalk, they will lock you up if they catch you.
Why would you spit?
Well, people just do it. In America, in American culture, it's okay to spit wherever you can find a brick wall.
Or piss on the Alamo. I don't know.
Well, one of the things we're here to talk to you guys about is your CD that came out in 2016, Doves of War.
Correct.
Right. So tell me a little bit about that and the single that you released, Paris. When did you release the single? About a year before, right?
So we had a prior album called Ready to Go. Mike and I kind of just fell into it, piecing it together to go out and tour. That was the original concept of it. That helped us land the deal with a record label out of the UK called RMN Records.
Ooh.
And
shout out to RMN. They're letting us use your music.
Yeah, they pushed us kind of to make a certain type of record that took it at a different level. Versus the production on Ready to Go was a little bit more like T-Rex, a little bit livelier. For pop radio, the music, the drums have to pop. The production's got to be a lot, just a little higher, EQ and everything like that to really capture the attention. And also the BPMs of how fast the music goes to be able to capture the attention span. So
how fast do you have most of your songs on this?
On that record, it's pretty consistent. So
what's your BPM on this?
What would you say, Mike, on that record? The BPMs
96,
for
92.
Yeah, I would say 90 to like 105.
I know some of those. I know it was 135 on the upbeat singles.
Oh wow, that's
some
fast.
of that stuff.
Yeah.
I generally stick around 88 to 96 for me. That's kind of like a little slower, almost bluesier feel.
Just to punch. Yeah, for us, it's a fine art between rock and pop, so it can't drag too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, easily. Well, let's take a listen. You gave me this track called "Doves of War" demo. Mm-hmm. Is that the lead track of the?
I'm very curious about what that's going to sound like. Because that's the only track on me right now.
Well, let's take a listen to this. It's called "Doves of War" demo, and this is for Falling Doves.
Yeah. See. Is it even coming?
There's something. There it is. So tell me about this.
So I'm actually pretty stoked that you're hearing this, because if it would have been up to Mike and I to make the record, it would have sounded like this.
If you were to somehow take control of my mind and body.
So this is kind of like
This is punk.
well, this is how Ready to Go was. So.
Yeah.
Right.
But we couldn't do it like this. So the actual version that's on the album is like more like Jet, right in your face and punchier and more guitars and a few overdubs and
So
fatter
what is
tracks.
this song called?
Dubs of War.
Oh, this is the Doves of War song. This is the last track of the CD.
So yeah, you're actually getting a demo from the actual rehearsal studio from the album.
Wow.
Sounds great.
Lay me down like a devil goes. Break me out like a devil goes.
So raw.
Well, yeah, that's not what the record sounds like.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's pretty cool for the instructional value what we're listening to.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's going to be a pretty nice example when we go into an actual produced track.
Yeah.
So you can see. But it's the energy, man, and we wanted to make sure we captured the punchy energy of a live track.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got it.
You got a body that looks over my mind. Walking on water to worship in the night. Lay me down like a devil would. Break me out like a devil
Is your lead even in there yet?
It doesn't even know my guitar. It's just yours.
That's
One
just
guitar.
being the drummer. That's terrible. But that's we literally the funny part about making this record. So, we literally had Mike and I were working on the record a certain way, right? So we had 3 or 4 tracks, and then we were going on tour, and the record wasn't done. So then I called Mike. I go, well, do you have any lead ideas or chord ideas? And then he's like, well, I'm always working on stuff. So he sent me just a bunch of parts. and then I literally just glued them together, like mentally,
Yeah.
not with the computer, and then grabbed the guitar, and then we literally went on Monday. He sent them to me on Friday, stayed home Saturday, Sunday. Monday we went in the studio with a drummer just to see if the ideas worked, and then we went straight to the studio on Tuesday.
Wow.
Literally was like that, yeah.
Wow.
We finished off the album, so the label was happy with the record.
And then they polished it up
great.
so it sounds different.
No,
than
then
this.
after that, we literally, Mike and I, the other issue that we had was that the drummers we were using on the studio stuff it just didn't feel right. And after making records for a while, you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So we went through some amazing. It was funny because it was like there's this movie called Dead Man on Campus. Have you seen that?
No, I don't think
It's
I
a good
have.
'90s movie where these guys are basically just going out and seeing who.
Is this real quick? Is this just
That's
okay?
the
Yeah, that
metronome.
was the metronome in GarageBand or Pro Tools or
No,
whatever.
this is yeah, Pro Tools.
Pro Tools. Yeah, one of the two.
GarageBand.
Like,
No, and so the funny part about this whole thing is Mikey and I literally went on Craigslist, like looking for a date, with these
Yeah,
drummers.
yeah.
And then so we kept throwing drummers back and forth about which one we were going to use. And so
one of the drummers you picked, I actually was going to audition for where he left.
which one did you get?
Greg Smith.
Oh no, he's not on the record.
I know, but he was one of your drummers, though, right?
No, so that is a subject later we'll get to.
We'll
So on the
put a
record,
pin
we
in that
got we
one.
got some pretty cool, amazing punk rock drummers and a really hard. We actually used a metal drummer. Was the only one that could keep up with the BPM, so we need it.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and Mr. Clay, what's his last name? Hackett.
Hackett, yeah.
And he went in there and just beat the living hell out of those drums and in one take each track.
Oh,
And
nice.
and you should have seen how burnt out he was after that.
See, that's why everybody needs to get a GoPro or one of the knockoffs that they have on Amazon for like $50 and put it in your rehearsal space just to look at the drummers. Because
I got video. I got video thanks to the Facebook Live and that.
it's
of him
serious. The
recording
Muppets
in
got it
there.
right, man. The Muppets got it right. Animal,
Muppets?
that's like seriously. Like, that's a drummer.
No,
right?
he did that, and people give a lot of hell to the metal drummers, but
Yeah.
they're excellent drummers. They can, a lot of the rudiments actually. Some of the drum starts is very similar to jazz.
Yeah, I saw this video. I'm a drummer myself. That's actually my instrument that I first started with. And rudiments, as you say, it's what my parents would not let me sit behind a set of drums until I can pass a snare drum rudiment test from school. And so I was forced to learn all those. And I saw a video recently of a drummer sitting down and kind of jokingly going through rudiments on a drum set and how you can get some badass beats with basic paradiddles and flams and all that stuff. And he was going through it like frustratingly, but you can tell he was super good. He was doing all the paradiddles right, and he just
Right.
intentionally mess up. And it's just so true to how frustrating it can be as a drummer.
Well, and you're just talking about the rudiments. So it's like for us making a record is like cooking.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm
when-
stealing the thunder.
Well, when him and no, I'm with
I'll
you.
let all that out, I
No,
promise.
no, and you know how you said your parents were trying to get you to do all the different rudiments, and I
Yeah.
think they prepared you without you even knowing for working with bands, because when Mike and I are crafting, we know what kind of drums we want, we know what we need.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want a drum intro with toms and this and that, I don't need what you want to do. I need pepper and chocolate chip, and that's
Right.
it.
And that's why I'm not
And
a
that's what the
drummer in a
rudiments
band
are.
right now.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, no, I don't want your fucking cookies. I can change this
So
recipe.
when you were asking about the band, that's why it's just me and him and studio players.
Well,
so
you-
we can create the dishes we want to make.
Well, it's really interesting that you made that little dish of there. I'm sorry that didn't make it on the record that way, but
No, it's pretty badass
no,
on the record.
they can find if they can find a record at Bandcamp, right?
They can find it all over online. So just type Doves, Falling Doves, Doves of Horus on iTunes, Spotify, and a few of the other things that the label's allowed to go out there.
I was about to say,
listen
tell me a
to.
little bit more about the record, RMN Records. How did you get hooked up with
The
them?
reason why we went with them is because they're a classical record label. And so I know it makes no sense.
No,
but we were the only rock and roll band on their roster.
Okay.
And then I told Mike, but this will allow me access to composition and instrumentation. Meaning,
Yeah.
Ooh,
meaning I'll be
training.
like, I'm working on this thing. I need a score for the background for this. So I can go in the studio, sit down with all these studio players and go, this is what I want you to do. You'll see it on the next record.
I'm excited to see that. That'll sound badass, I'm sure.
When is that one coming out?
Well, it's up to this guy when he has time.
Tomorrow. You like that?
We write pretty
that.
fast,
I
but
do like that.
no, we write pretty fast. We really do, and it's just like I said to you. It's just hopping in the kitchen, throwing the what kind of dish we want to make. and
What's your
going at it.
basic process? Because everybody approaches songs differently, and a lot of times, like me personally, when I approach a song, it depends on what the inspiration is. But with you, like pick a song off of this record. What was your inspiration to get into writing it? Just any song, just generic.
When Mike and I originally started this record, we wanted to make a record that would be fun to drive on. That you know what I mean? That like when
so
you
that's
pick
why
up.
you focused in the narrow BPM aspect.
Yeah, well, if you pick up any Doors record, from the moment it comes in, you're already in a different world,
Yeah.
literally. And so we wanted to go with that with our record, and then it took a different turn about what the label wanted. So we're like, okay, I guess we can write some pop songs. What do you got, Mike? Okay, I'll just grab your chords and make them pop stuff. But we, you know what? We were blessed that we got a lot of great players that we played with on the record, and we were pretty flexible on the concept of it. So it was kind of like being one of the, I'm going to use again cooking.
Yeah.
One of these cooking shows where you're in the contest and you got to make that freaking dish like this fast because you know what I mean.
Now
the
that's
judges are
right.
going to come and taste it. So we're like running around studio producer studio drummer studio producer mix back forward. And then finally the record was done.
Now that's pressure from the label, so to speak,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
a lot of musicians that I talk with, local musicians, they have no interest in being a part of that. So what would you say to them as a counter that would be kind of a better, because there are a lot of local labels that don't force anything on you. They let you be you. They let you focus your artistic talent where you want to. So
I think we're partially responsible for a little bit of that pressure because there were certain opportunities that we know you have to take advantage of. And unfortunately, sometimes you sacrifice a bit of the creative for the greater goal of where you're headed. And ideally, I even tell people, even the record is not necessarily the best interpretation of the band,
Yeah.
because even our shows tend to, we keep a continuity as long as Mike and I are performing live.
yeah.
It's a pretty good continuity of what the sound of the band is. So that's like the meat and butter as you hear in the records.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of differences. But you never really get to see, I always tell people, well, the English version of our band is completely different than the American version of our band. And it really is. It really is a completely different concept. We through this album, we were able to meet our bass player in Liverpool.
Okay.
And so that's the one we get to tour the world
His
with.
name Paul.
No, close enough, Sam.
That guy.
Close enough.
Speaking of Europe, though, you've been touring a lot lately, just with Falling Doves, and you've been traveling a lot just under your own name, right?
Yeah. Well, I started just hopping around with the acoustic guitar throughout the country just to test out the stuff. First tour in Europe was just me with the acoustic and a drummer. Then Mikey hopped on, and then we grabbed other people to tour with. But the reality is, like you were saying with a lot of other artists, I think people get comfortable too in town, and they feel good getting, acclaimed here locally. So they don't want to necessarily take the steps to get out. And even the reality hits then when it's like, Sam and I started the band with that concept. We had some regular great local players that we had. But every time we had something going on, there was always an excuse of some sort. Oh, I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I can't go there, and I can't do that. And I think one point, Mike and I were going to Vegas, and that's when things changed because we were driving up. And the drummer freaking canceled, and the bass player canceled, and we're on Craigslist looking for bass players and drummers. And then he knew somebody that he met maybe 6 years ago that he knew that still worked in Vegas as a session musician.
Oh, wow.
And then I don't even know where we got the bass player. Was that on Craigslist?
I don't even remember.
And so we found these guys we've never seen in our life. It felt like one of those Blues Brothers movies.
Totally right.
And we hop on stage, and I think that guy's playing with us. I think that's you. And then he asked
Is that our
Mike.
bass player or what?
Yeah, and he actually, the bass player looked like you. He's a metal
great.
bass player. And
That's
he was
great.
great,
I
that guy.
remember that show.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, he was a friend of
There
a
we go.
friend.
He was a friend of
through
a friend.
Facebook,
Of a
yeah.
friend.
And then, so that's how that went down, and we shared him a piece of the pie of those gigs in Vegas.
Yeah.
And we knew there was something in Vegas for us too. That's why we were playing all these crappy shows, but we knew a building in there. it's so small that you can kind of become part of the community, but you just have to have continuity there.
Yeah.
And so we grabbed these guys, and that's how the whole concept of touring began for us. Because after that, well, let's try this formula in Chicago. Mike goes, well, I know a bass player and a drummer over there. And we did that there. And then we did that there. And the fucking options were limitless. We did it
Right
in and after that. And then we became better players.
There's one
Well,
word
sure,
that
you're-
explains that.
Yep.
Ingenuity.
Well, we don't know.
Resourcefulness, actually.
I think it was just a
That's a better
necessity on
word.
our hand, and we just
Right.
had the hunger to do it, and it was cheaper just to fly 2 people than 4.
Necessity is the mother of all
Right?
inventions.
And
So.
then when we did that here,
It
well,
was
let's just
working.
do it in Europe then, and that's how we did that. And
Now you just came back from Japan, though.
yeah,
So what? Tell me about. Actually, you know what? We've been chatting for enough. Let's take a listen to one of your other songs.
Which one?
I don't know. I'm crossing my hand over here. It's uncomfortable.
oh, that's from the first record. That's pretty good.
All right. So this is Glass. Now is this on?
No, that's on the first album,
Okay. So this is going back to your first album.
which I own all the rights for, so don't worry.
So I'm not worried. I know that. I know that one. So
The label's not going to give you anything. I won't give him that
Good
record.
job, Christopher.
I won't give him that record.
I don't blame you. You got to keep something as a musician, whether you give it away for free as from you or
Yeah.
whether you sell it through you. You got to keep something. All right. So this is from your first album, and this is called Glass of Wine.
That sounds really good live. Do you have a violinist on that one?
Coming through the window of the dreams that pass me by.
So wait, you have just when you're playing this live, you have people just randomly come up on stage and play with you.
In my glass of
Okay, if that's the case, we'll talk about that.
As I fall in the abyss of my imagination, hope time slips me by. I can change, I go when I hear your laughter coming through the roof. I can change, I go when I feel your laughter coming through the river, falling down, down, down.
I'm a terrible singer, and I'll start singing, and it'll fuck up the whole song.
Is that why you're turning away? Okay.
Yes, I'm falling down, 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 down and low. I can change or go when I feel your laughter coming through the roof. I can change or go when I hear your laughter coming through the river, falling down, 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 down and low. Yes, I'm falling down, 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 down and low.
That's the track.
Just fades out from there.
It's going to fade out in some leads. And
CDs in my car right now, just so you know.
Well,
You have
were-
Dubs of War, huh? Oh, this is
Yeah, it was
Ready
the
to
first
Go.
one.
Yeah, I got
You
that
have
one.
this one too.
I
Now
do.
you were singing
I
along
got
to
it all.
that.
I'm looking-
You've seen them live, Kim.
Yes, I've seen her live a couple times.
It's not
So-
the same anytime, is it?
No, and it's great. It's great each time.
And you still sing, even though it's from your first album. you
Oh
perform.
no! Yeah. It's just like I said, it's up to the capabilities of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fun. At that House of Blues show,
Yes,
that was special because we got to play half the stuff from here that we like how it sounds, but we just don't have the production stuff live to pull it
right.
off.
Right.
Because you have
And
two
s-
keyboard players there, right?
Well, this time, like literally everybody came and I go, well, I know I have that part in this record.
Yeah.
So literally, ideally, to pull off the stuff the way I would personally
Now
like
you're
it. is
talking about having like friends come in and out and come off a stage and play things.
it's beautiful now when we travel. I mean, and I literally have a message here. Like, we'll go through the messages in a bit. We're playing the show this is how it happens. We got this show coming up at my friend's birthday party at
Oh,
Mother's. All right, Gail.
Okay.
John Campos will be
And
jumping
he'll be
on
there.
stage too.
And then I
Shameless
get this.
plug.
I
That's
get
probably
this,
going to be after this or before this airs, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure there'll be video somewhere of it. And so then we'll get a text. Hey man, you're playing. Can I come up for a song? Sure. Mike shows up, and then there's a whole wall of people. We just did a show. It was like really early in the morning, and Mike showed up late because he got stuck in traffic, and there were 3 guitarists up there already with me playing. You know what I mean?
It's like batter
How'd
up,
that,
man.
Hey, Mike, how'd that make you feel? Because you haven't said much at all. You're just sitting there
No.
chilling.
I actually saved that show apparently, so it worked out because I showed up at last minute. I literally paid some guy $10 to watch my car outside front.
Shut up.
I walked in with my guitar strapped on, and dude unplugged his, plugged into mine, and I ripped the last 2 songs, and people were like, they thought that was planned.
That's sick.
That's
I go,
rad. That's awesome.
You
that
guys
worked
play at the
out.
House of Blues often, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you pretty
yeah,
much
yeah.
can find Falling Doves playing there regularly.
Yeah. You know what I've learned now is House of Blues. We try to only play twice a year,
Okay.
and that's it.
Well, then you have
The
a
one here,
schedule.
right?
Where,
In the
where's-
fall and in the spring. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Where do you have your schedule for where people can find you?
FallingDoves.com.
Just
All our
Falling
tour
Doves.
dates for the year are all the way up till December in there.
They have a lot of them too, so you can catch them.
That's good.
It is good. They're good.
And it's always impromptu stuff. So if you follow us on the socials, then half the shows that we play are not listed on the site because
Right.
of technicality reasons. We
Yeah.
can't say, "Oh, we're playing at Mother's,"
Yeah.
because it doesn't look.
So
right,
you just
know?
tweet random things that
You're like, last minute show, come on out, and I literally will last minute. I'll say it like the day before.
and you sell out pretty much every time.
They're
you
always
do.
packed. They're
Yeah.
always packed.
Well, that's because you put on a good show, and that sounded really good. And that was your first album. Now that was before Mike.
No, Mike hopped in there
okay.
in the creating process of the album. Same thing. I had finished the album entirely before meeting Mike.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get him involved,
I
but
pretty
he's
much-
refusing.
yeah,
Why'd you even
no,
bring him?
Mikey.
He's
On
like
that
a
one,
sloth.
so on that one, I did. Chris had pretty much written all the songs on that one, and I got to hop in on all the intros, all the solos on that one.
Yeah, we wiped all the crap I
perfect.
had on there.
Oh, so that was you shredding the guitar.
not on
Not
this
on
one.
that
It's
last
the only one
song,
I didn't give him.
But that's the only one. It's the best one too, right?
Well, I haven't heard the other
Every
ones.
time I listen to that song, I go, "Ooh, that's rough."
That could have been you.
Why'd that?
That could
oh,
have
that
been
sh-
me.
That could have sounded really good.
You can hear it,
Christopher needs a refill. Look at this.
but you can hear it live. You can hear it live with Mike.
Yeah.
You know
sounds
what?
good. It sounds
We're
great.
actually releasing a live DVD from Japan and CD, so you'll get to see
cool.
Mike's version of the lead.
Nice. And you just came back.
Yeah,
you
it's
just came back from
A little
Japan.
bit better.
So
Yeah.
tell me about Japan, like because you alluded a little bit about how kind of AR they are about their time frame and time scheduling. So how, like, what else was really different about that for playing and performing as a rock/pop artist?
I think it's going to be better for Mike to tell you because you'll get a more version approach to
Mike,
the
right? Mike
country.
already said he wanted to move there. He was done. He's like, I'm
it's
good.
the
I'm
way
in.
everything
Mike was licking
should
the
be.
sidewalk.
You can sum it up with professionalism, respect, and appreciation for the
Appreciation,
arts.
yeah.
Like an artist-centric kind of feel, where
Ev-
they're more focused on the art rather than
Well,
the money.
And the professionalism of everything being organized, the backline lines being amazing, the schedule being on point, nobody being late, nobody being rude, everybody being professional, the sound, the lights, everything's organized.
Just totally on point, huh?
I don't believe you.
To give you an example,
Amazing.
I was in radio for 3 years.
It's like
I don't believe
1970s.
That's
It's like
impossible.
there's green
Yeah.
rooms. They're taking care of you with
and
food.
the lighting guy
drinks.
sits down with us and
Everything.
he goes, "What did you feel when you wrote that first song?" And I got the lighting guy asking me about the fucking composition of the song.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
And I go,
Fucking
So
well,
they
this and
care
that.
about what they're doing. They're
That's
not
what I'm
doing
saying.
it for
That's
a dollar.
the detail. And he goes, "Okay, so do you feel, or what colors do you see with this song?
Oh,
Yellow,
wow.
So
red.
interesting.
See,
Now,
that-
is this an
that would-
angry song?
You
Do
know,
feel like
as much
flashes,
as I
you
love
know?
the American audience, if I were to break into talking to you about colors that you feel about a song, I would have 0 listeners.
Yeah.
Oh, you would have a blank stare. That's what
they'd
you'd have.
well, a blank stare at a speakers
But I'm going to tell you,
or
dude,
into space if they have their.
Hey, I'm a
playing
fucking
these
rookie,
shows,
man.
though,
Come
and
on.
it
But
works.
when you see the light show, when that song is going on, it goes, holy cow, as compared to somewhere else in the U.S.
really
where
get
this
it,
guy
huh?
doesn't
It's like-
care what he's doing the lights. He runs lights.
I
and
think
it's like,
even
that
if we
was
flew
boring.
with our own lighting guy, I don't think we'd be able to
Really?
really
Just match
train
that.
it like that. Yeah, that guy, they're
the
good.
passion, huh? It's awesome.
And the sound people, they really do love what they're doing. They love it.
Well, they got to listen. You know,
awesome.
you got to enjoy sound and music if you're going to be doing sound.
Oh no, they
Well,
they,
it's so
they thank you.
important.
They thank you. They thank you.
Yeah.
Like you're giving them a gift. Thank you for allowing me to mix. It's been an honor to be a part of your band.
That's
for the night.
fantastic.
See,
They
that-
appreciate
yeah.
the art and the craft and all of the hard work and stuff you guys put into it.
And like you said, that's the way it should be. It is the way it should be because you're the artist. You're the one who actually puts the time and energy and
Now
effort.
here we're playing. We need more vocals.
Right.
Where's the sound guy? I think he's out taking a piss.
He's always out taking a fucking
He's
piss
talking
here.
to a chick in the corner. All right.
Well, I got one more song from you, and I guess it's off of your first album as well, Ready to Go.
Oh yeah.
Another good one.
This one is I Need You Know, or is it I Need You Now?
I need
I
you
need
now.
you now.
Oh, I
Okay,
wish you
there's
had ready.
There's
to
a
go in there.
typo.
That's fine.
Chris is a great speller. A for effort.
And he writes lyrics for a living, okay?
I don't know. You know what it is?
But
It's all
he
about
can
what you
write it in
hear,
like
not
30
about what.
seconds, so
I don't
come
even
on.
know
Right.
why these tracks are in my media folder. 'Cause they're not bad songs, but they weren't
They're
meant
good.
for this.
They're good songs. I've heard it.
Not
Like
the
I said, it's in my
singles.
car. Fuck.
Well, it's more of a reason. If people like this, then they're definitely going to go to Bandcamp and check out your new stuff, or at the very least, go to one of your shows and,
Go to a
and
show.
buy some merch. Maybe buy a T-shirt from you,
Yeah.
buy a CD. I'm sure
Thank
you
you
do.
for buying our merch.
I know,
Yeah.
and I need a large. My son grew apparently, so he's not a medium any longer, and he's like, so there you have it.
I did what?
I need
You
a
were-
large T-shirt from these cats.
You were carrying on, so I just thought I'd let you.
There you have it. I need a large fucking T-shirt from Falling Dove.
You're
What-
like the
actually,
Australian
when they
Toronto
first walked
movement.
in, you said that you started talking about something about how you met them, and then I said, "Save it." And
Oh no, Christopher said he liked my T-shirt.
okay, so that's what. Okay, never
Was that in
mind.
Baja?
Well, there are a lot of things happened in Baja. Okay?
And
I
moving
was
on, we're going to
asleep.
take a listen
I was
to
asleep.
this.
I thought you were at the movies. That's what my story I heard.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to this last song. This is from their Ready to Go album, I Need You Now.
Love this song. It comes right in at you, just like
That's my there you go.
Yeah, I agree with you. It would have sounded better if you did the last one.
Cause I need you to break my phone. Say you'll be there if I call. Hey, what happened to us, girl? If you still need me, then take me home. Yeah, now you found another man. What a fool. You're
right, we're back.
Christopher, when you're writing these songs, and I know you've performed and played them many, many times, when you hear it back like that, does it bring you back to the place where you were when you were writing it, or?
I think the concept of it, just going into the tracks, yeah, I learned from a really great artist. He used to say, you got to treat the songs like theater. That means that you have to feel every lyric you sing, because if you don't, it's not going to transcend to the people.
Yeah.
It resonates when you are singing.
So even though some of the crap sometimes is more painful to go back into, if you don't have that tear barely coming out of your eye because you're still, in one way or another hurting, and people are not going to be receptive to it than if I was just singing it, smiling. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got to put emotion into your songs, and that's why you write them. You write them to release the emotion anyway. So if you're not reliving that when you perform it, then you're not giving the audience what you intended when you wrote it. So
when I listen to them, as you were asking, I don't know, just sends, which is what music's supposed to do.
Right.
Just sends me to fucking back in time.
You're all, God bless America.
now that was a slower
shitty
one.
time.
We were talking about the beat of this track, the album that you've got now.
A lot of the stuff on this record are a lot ballads and more lyrically based.
Well,
I like it. You're a storyteller. I like hearing your story. I feel like it's a story.
It was beautiful. I liked it, and it had a really good feel to it. A nice cadence to it, but definitely a lot slower than what you pitched for this album.
Yeah. No, that's what's fun. The balance, and I think with the show you got to see, we got to do a beautiful balance of those two records.
Oh, it was.
Nice.
It was everything.
And you got the production of it.
Yeah.
Now you're, for now, at least for this point in period of our artistry, you were able to experience what that record sounded like, because we don't get to have the piano there very often.
Oh, it's
wow.
great.
Or the build-ups, or the organs, or
You got a sax.
You got to
a
keep it
saxophone.
fairly boxed. You can't do a lot of dynamics.
as a 4-piece is too expensive
Okay.
to
Yeah.
have a 10-piece backup band backing us, which is what it would take to pull these records off live.
Like at their last at their last House of Blues shows, they had a saxophone player, I believe, and then prior to that, I saw you guys at Hard Rock at Float, and they had a violinist playing on some songs, and it
So
was
when you're
beautiful.
live, you never know what's going to happen, right?
Well, we don't know
Right.
what city we're in, who's going to be there. Sometimes we have Latin
available.
guitars, conga players,
You're right.
African percussionists.
Wow.
It all works.
Well, it's rock and roll.
Yeah.
It all feels.
Speaking of rock and roll, one of the things that I noticed in your tracks, which is something I've been seeing in a few other tracks lately, but it's not used enough, harmonic dissonance. Your harmonies.
Yeah.
When you're
enunciating stuff, right?
well, not just that, the harmonies. You have it's a vocal dissonance, like the song, you're using like a
Yeah.
minor third as your harmony, so it creates kind of a dissonance in the way it sounds, and it's almost not painful to the ears, but it eludes more emotion, so it's dramatic, but it's not used in a lot of
fuller.
pop music.
I just came from a session. I literally was just there as a just like a fly on the wall, because I wanted to be part of the session, and I got to sit down with this cat that's worked with Aerosmith, with Brian Wilson, with some of the guys from the Beatles, and it was neat, man, to hear, because it's still watered down production that he's
Yeah.
teaching
Yeah.
me. But he was teaching me about Brian Wilson. He's like, when Brian's in here, he does this and this,
Yeah.
this, that, and then this, and he does all these different parts. And like for example, for a Beach Boys song, for every vocal harmony you hear, you do it 4 times. So you would get 24 vocal harmonies
To layer it.
Yeah.
to be able to get in there. I walked out of there really well schooled, man, with a lot of stuff.
Nice.
And it's one thing is you have a theory when you're listening to an album.
Yeah.
We didn't have YouTube back then, so you just have your ears and you're listening to stuff and you're like, I think they did this and this and this and this and this and that, and I can kind of recreate this. But actually being with someone that actually worked with the guy and he's telling you this is kind of how this goes and showing you visually through the computer, you know what I mean? It helps you
That's
confirm that some of that stuff
Right.
goes like that. But
Yeah.
It's a different animal these
yeah.
days,
Yeah, and it is pulling back the curtain for a lot of people is difficult, because it's definitely, like you said, it's almost not at all what you imagine until you see it. And you're like, this isn't what I expected it to be, and then all of a sudden, more doors can open, because you're like, well, that makes this explainable, and now I understand this.
Well, you can go outside of the box, like you you realize you're not conditioned to just this.
You can change. You could take that and move forward from
No, and
learning.
and what's gorgeous about what you were saying is that I think on the next record, we're gonna actually take advantage of the many talented professional studio touring session friend musicians of ours,
Right.
and we're
was
just
a
gonna throw them all
that was
on
a
the
nice
record.
sentence.
No, it works though.
And we're
I
gonna
mean,
throw
it-
them on the record and create something that
Beautiful.
it's not going to be able to be replicated.
Yeah,
and it's
but
interesting.
It's
to
for
hear.
us, it's for us.
And we want to hear it.
and that's what the recording part.
Welcome,
of it
guys.
For. Hey,
Next band's
Hey.
here, but that's where we're at, my man.
cool. Well, tell
So
us.
super cool.
Tell me more about your. Where can people find you? Social media, where they can follow you.
Fallingdoves.com. You can find most of the stuff. You can find our stuff, like I said, as well. Just Google us. We pop everywhere.
Yeah,
Alright.
they come right up.
Yeah.
Dude, well,
man.
thank you guys. Thank you so much, Chris, for sitting down and chatting with us and giving
Mike.
us a few minutes of your time, and Mike for sitting
Definitely.
there like a lump on a log and the couch.
Drinking his Jack Daniels, just chilling.
I'm a guitarist for a reason.
Yeah,
Talk.
Now, if you would have
back out
talked,
of the
Right?
limelight.
I think you should do an interview with him, just the introspective build up and setup of the guitars.
We're gonna have
Woods,
to rate it a little bit differently.
metal.
But it'll
There's
be
no
good.
rating on this at all.
Oh, well.
You can say whatever you damn well fucking please.
Bitches.
Sorry.
What guitars do you use for your sound on the records? Just real quick before you get off.
Yeah,
that
what are your
was all
faves?
Godin. The first record we used a Strat and their Gibson. Yeah.
What about this
Okay.
second one?
People always ask him what guitars he plays, so it's might as well spit it out.
Yeah,
There you go. Mike
that
Dorsey.
was well spoken.
He almost formed a whole sentence.
I know, it was like half of a sentence. All right, so check them out, fallingdoves.com, and make sure, please go to dustyfuton.com as well and subscribe to us. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Tune, and many other places. You can find us at dustyfuton.com. Thank you guys for being
Thank
a
you
part of
guys for
this
having
again.
us.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you guys
Thank
soon.
you.
All righty, see you next time.
Looking forward to it. Cheers.
Thank you to Big John for being our host and to Spicy Kim for being the co-host for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Dusty Futon, a Big John Entertainment production. And make sure you subscribe to us on Spotify, TuneIn, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you can find us. Go to dustyfuton.com to see all those locations. And on dustyfuton.com, you can check out every episode that the Dusty Futon has ever aired. And don't forget to check out Backstage360.com for some incredible information and editorials about bands coming to San Diego and all over the country. Thank you again for listening to this Big John Entertainment production and this episode of The Dusty Futon. We'll see you next week.